the distant reaches of the galaxy, the council of the Zerothians gathered in their crystal chamber. Surrounded by floating stars and swirling nebulae, the elders whispered about an old legend, one that spoke of a species called humans, beings who could change the course of worlds with their courage and will. Yet, most of them believed humans were nothing more than myths, stories passed down through generations to entertain young. For centuries, humans had vanished from galactic records, leaving only fragments of star maps, scattered messages, and faint traces of their technology. The council laughed at these old tales, thinking no species so small and fragile could ever rise above the stars. Humans are extinct, Elder Thorak said with a shake of his head. Nothing more than old stories told by dreamers, but deep in the dark reaches of space, a strange signal began to pulse, faint at first, almost invisible to the sensors of the council's fleet. It was unlike anything the aliens had ever encountered, a rhythm and pattern that seemed alive, intelligent, and old. The signal carried a strange energy, one that made the council uneasy, yet curious. They could not trace its origin, and it seemed to vanish and reappear in different sectors of space. Young scout ships were sent to investigate, moving silently through the void. Their sensors detected small wrecks floating among asteroids, the remains of ships that had been obliterated by weapons far stronger than anything the aliens could imagine. No survivors were found, only fragments of metal twisted and burned, as if some invisible force had struck them. Panic began to ripple through the council, for the signs did not match any known alien technology. Could it be the humans? One of the younger councillors whispered, but the room fell silent. No one wanted to admit it, for the very thought of humans returning seemed impossible. Yet the evidence grew undeniable. The signal pulsed again, stronger, almost taunting, as if inviting the aliens to look closer. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, unknown observers watched the council with keen interest. Their massive ships moved in formation, unseen by the alien patrols. The ships were colossal, thousands of them, each one bristling with weapons and armor. Yet they moved with purpose, as if following a plan older than the council itself. The humans, thought to be legends, were not only alive, but preparing to remind the galaxy of their power. Back in the council chamber, arguments broke out. Some believed the sightings were illusions created by fear. Others insisted that humans had returned, and the galaxy must prepare for the impossible. Elder Thorak's eyes narrowed as he stared at the pulsing map before him. If humans exist, they are not the weaklings we imagined. They are something far greater, something we cannot yet comprehend. The council decided to send their fastest fleet to confront the source of the signal, hoping to verify their existence before panic spread. Yet, none of them noticed the small flickers of light in the distant sectors, the harbingers of a force that would soon change everything. The legend of humans was no longer a story whispered in the shadows. It was real, and it was coming, in the quiet of space. The signal pulsed once more, steady and unyielding, a heartbeat of a species long thought lost. Somewhere among the stars, the humans watched and waited, ready to prove that legends could be true, and the galaxy would never forget their name. The alien fleets moved cautiously through the dark regions of space. Following the mysterious signal, their ships cut through the void like silver arrows, yet every captain felt the weight of unease pressing on their minds. Something unseen watched them, something powerful, and the longer they chased the signal, the more they realized they were not alone. Scout teams reported strange findings, twisted pieces of metal floating among asteroids, ships destroyed beyond recognition. There were no battle marks from alien weapons, only the aftermath of power far beyond anything they had ever faced. The patrols exchanged worried glances, fear spreading silently among the crews. Captain Zyler of the Draxian fleet stared at the wrecks on his display. These ships, they weren't destroyed by any known weapon. Whoever did this is strong, and they are hiding. Waiting, he said, his voice tense. The other captains nodded, but no one had answers, only questions that made the galaxy feel smaller and more dangerous. Meanwhile, small lights flickered in the distance, barely noticeable among the stars, but to those trained eyes, they were signs of life, signs of a force that moved with intelligence and purpose. The lights pulsed in patterns, forming lines and shapes that hinted at strategy and planning. The aliens had never seen anything like it, and dread began to take root in their hearts. The council convened once more, their crystal chamber glowing with tension. Some argued for retreat, believing humans could be a threat beyond imagination. Others insisted they investigate further, claiming the galaxy had no right to fear legends without proof. Elder Tharic stood silently, watching the stars flicker on the council's hologram. "This is no mere signal," he said finally. "This is a warning, and we cannot ignore it." In the void beyond, shadows shifted, massive shapes moving between asteroids, unseen but felt. Sensors struggled to identify them, scanning failed, and communication with distant scouts grew unstable. The aliens began reporting strange phenomena, energy spikes, gravitational distortions, and sudden failures in their navigation systems. Something was interfering, something alive and intelligent. Whispers spread among the crews, rumors of the humans returning, yet no one dared speak it aloud. Many believed it was impossible, a tale from ancient myths. But the evidence kept mounting. The signal pulsed again, stronger and more deliberate, almost as if the humans were watching their every move, waiting to reveal themselves. Suddenly, a patrol ship vanished without a trace, leaving only a ripple of energy and silence in its path. Panic erupted among nearby fleets. Shouts echoed across comms, and ships changed course in fear. "This cannot be," a lieutenant muttered, staring at the empty coordinates. "There is no weapon capable of this." But deep inside, he knew the truth. Something legendary had returned. Alien leaders began to argue openly, accusations flying. Some wanted to prepare for war. Others insisted that retreat was the only option. The council struggled to decide, but every passing moment brought the humans closer, and the galaxy grew smaller under the shadow of the unseen Armada. In the darkness, the pulsing signal continued, a heartbeat echoing through space. Humans were near, silent observers waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Their presence was a whisper now, but soon it would become a roar that would shake the stars. The aliens had dismissed them as myths, but the void itself knew the truth, and the legend of humans was about to become reality. The distant stars glimmered as the alien fleets moved cautiously, unaware of the shadows closing in from the edges of their scanners. Then, a massive formation appeared on the horizon, lights blazing and engines humming with power beyond imagination. Thousands of colossal ships emerged from the void, perfectly aligned in rows that stretched farther than the eye could see. Captain Zyler stared at the sight, his mouth dry. "Impossible. There are thousands of them," he whispered. The ships were unlike anything in the galaxy. Massive war colossi, built for battle on a scale no one had ever seen. Energy shields flickered across their hulls, weapons glimmered with deadly potential, and their movement was coordinated, precise, and terrifying. The alien council scrambled to respond, issuing orders, deploying fleets, and opening communications. "Identify yourselves," one leader shouted, but no reply came. Only the silent approach of the human armada, a slow, deliberate advance that made the galaxy hold its breath. Then, without warning, the first human strike hit. A colossal energy cannon fired from a human dreadnought, slicing through the flagship of the Draxian fleet. The explosion lit the void like a supernova, tearing the ship apart in seconds. Debris scattered, and alarms screamed across the alien command centers. Panic erupted in every fleet, ships trying to maneuver, but the humans anticipated every move. Their formations shifted, adapting instantly, as if they had rehearsed every possible scenario. Alien weapons fired, but energy shields absorbed the blasts with ease, and return fire from the humans struck with unmatched accuracy, tearing holes in ships and scattering fleets. Elder Tharic watched the battle unfold on the hologram, his eyes wide with disbelief. "They are real, and they are not legends," he muttered. The humans, thought to be extinct, were alive, stronger and more advanced than any species the Council had ever known. Their presence alone changed the rules of war, forcing the aliens to reconsider everything they believed about the galaxy. Among the chaos, small groups of humans moved with precision, rescuing disabled ships of their own and repairing damage faster than the aliens could track. Their coordination was flawless, a perfect balance of strength, strategy, and intelligence. The Council realized with growing horror that humans had not only returned, they had returned to dominate. Captain Zyler tried to rally his fleet, but fear spread like wildfire. The once confident crews now doubted their every action, every strategy. Humans had become a force no one could predict, and the legends of their courage and strength were suddenly very real. As the first wave of attacks ended, the human armada formed a perfect circle around the alien fleets, cutting off retreat. The silence that followed was tense, almost deafening. broken only by the hum of engines and distant explosions of stragglers. The Council realized their next move would determine the fate of countless worlds, yet no plan seemed strong enough against the humans. From the darkness beyond, the pulsing signal continued, guiding the human ships, a silent heartbeat of power and patience. The aliens had mocked the myths, laughed at stories of human strength. But now, the galaxy understood the truth. Humans were not only alive, they were unstoppable. And the first contact of fire had just begun. The stars themselves seemed to tremble as the humans prepared for the next strike, their shadows stretching across space, a promise that legends once thought dead would not only return, but claim their place among the greatest powers in the galaxy. The human armada moved like a shadow across the stars, their colossal ships cutting through alien space with unstoppable precision. Each dreadnought was a fortress of weapons, shields, and advanced technology, and together they formed a wall of power the galaxy had never seen. The alien fleets scrambled to respond, but fear had already spread, slowing their movements and clouding their judgment. Captain Zyler watched his displays, disbelief and dread mixing in his chest. They are everywhere, faster than we can track, stronger than we imagined, he whispered. Orders were shouted, weapons fired, yet every alien attack seemed anticipated, blocked, or destroyed before it could reach its target. The humans were more than warships, they were a force of strategy, intelligence, and unity, all moving as one, on a distant moon. The first human landing squads deployed, their walkers and mechs rolling across the surface with efficiency and precision. Alien defense turrets fired, but the humans were too quick, their shields absorbing every shot. Their tactics were flawless, every move planned to perfection, every strike calculated to minimize risk and maximize impact. The legend of human ingenuity was real, unfolding before eyes that could barely comprehend it. Back in the council chamber, the alien leaders argued desperately. "We cannot let them reach our core systems," shouted one. "We must retreat," said another. But the humans already controlled the paths of advance, cutting off escape routes and isolating key positions. Panic grew as communications failed, ships vanished without warning, and the once proud fleets were scattered and overwhelmed. Elder Tharek stared at the holomap, tracing the movements of the humans. They were never weak. "They have been preparing all this time, hidden in the shadows, mastering their power," he said. Realization dawning, the humans had waited, observing, learning, and building strength, until the moment to strike arrived. And now nothing could stop them. In the void, massive explosions lit the darkness as alien strongholds fell one by one. Human dreadnoughts advanced in waves, targeting command centers, supply ships, and weapons depots, leaving chaos and destruction in their wake. The aliens tried to fight back, but each resistance was met with superior technology and unbreakable coordination. Every human strike was swift, deliberate, and precise, showing a level of skill and intelligence no one had expected. On the alien capital, alarms blared and fleets scrambled to defend the planet. Yet, the humans were already above orbit, their shadow darkening the skies. The first bombarded defenses shattered, the shields flickering and failing, panic sweeping through every alien station. The Council realized they were witnessing not just a battle, but the return of a species whose power could not be matched, even in retreat. Some alien leaders whispered among themselves, "Legends, they were true. Humans were never gone. They were waiting." The humans had proven that myths could be real, and now the galaxy would tremble under their presence. As the final wave of attacks began, the human armada moved toward the central command systems, unstoppable, precise, and united, ready to claim victory. The stars shone coldly around the battlefield, but humanity's light burned brighter. A force of legend made real. The war colossi had arrived, and the galaxy was about to change forever. The aliens had doubted, mocked, and feared, but now they could only watch, powerless. As the humans advanced with unstoppable might, the alien capital trembled as the human armada appeared above orbit, their massive ships blocking out the stars. Energy pulses from their weapons shimmered across space, and the alien fleets struggled to form a defense. Every command, every movement of the humans was perfect, calculated, and unstoppable. The legends had been true, and now the galaxy would see the full power of humanity. Captain Zyler watched in disbelief as his fleet faltered, ships exploding one by one under the relentless assault. How can they be so strong?" he whispered, panic rising in his chest. Humans moved with purpose, striking only the vital targets and avoiding unnecessary destruction, showing intelligence, restraint, and strategy beyond anything the aliens had imagined. On the planet below, human landing forces advanced through alien defenses with ease. Walkers, mechs, and squads moved in perfect harmony, neutralizing threats and securing positions. Alien soldiers were stunned by their precision, their strength, and the unity of the human forces. Every action of humanity showed a species that was not only powerful but wise, capable of outthinking every opponent. Elder Theric observed from the council chamber, his hands trembling over the holomap. They were never weak. They were watching, waiting, learning, he murmured. Realization spread across the council. Humans had prepared for this moment for centuries, hidden from view, mastering technology, strategy, and warcraft until they could reclaim their place in the galaxy. The final strike began, a coordinated assault on the alien command systems. Energy beams cutting through shields, weapons depots destroyed, communications severed. Chaos and fear spread among the alien fleets, many surrendering or fleeing as humans continued their advance. There was no room for negotiation, no chance for resistance. Humanity had returned, not to hide, but to prove their strength and claim their legacy. From the command bridge of the human flagship, the Admiral observed the battle, calm and composed. The Armada had completed its mission flawlessly, leaving only remnants of resistance. Yet the humans showed mercy, allowing survivors to live, a statement of their intelligence and honor. The galaxy watched in awe, the stories of legends becoming reality. In the aftermath, the alien fleets regrouped, battered and defeated. Many approached the humans with respect, no longer mocking the stories of legends. Humans had proven themselves beyond doubt, and the myth had become history. Elder Theric bowed his head, acknowledging the truth. The humans, they are truly extraordinary. The galaxy underestimated them. As the dust settled among the stars, humans stood victorious, their armada shining like beacons of hope and power. The galaxy had witnessed a force that was once considered myth, now real and unstoppable. The humans had returned, not just to fight, but to remind every species that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the greatest odds. And as humans prepared to explore the galaxy further, a new sense of wonder filled the void. The legend of humans had not only survived, it had triumphed, inspiring awe, respect, and a reminder to the universe that sometimes the greatest power comes from those least expected. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, echoing the truth of humanity's might, and the story of the war colossi would be told for generations to come. The galaxy would never forget the day humans proved they were no longer myths, but legends, alive, powerful, and unstoppable.